there were some game changers that entered into the fold last year. In some of these cases should have been in high school, but in a lot of cases were fresh on the scene, freshmen, if you will. So with today being National Signing Day and the future of college football putting pen to paper or already having put pen to paper today, I want us to take a look back at the previous class and talk about the top 10 now going to be true sophomores in college football. This is a top 10 list that is based off of what they did last year. This is not so much a projection as it is a body of work so far. So at number 10, the best, number 10, I should say, rather, true sophomore in college football a year ago, I got running back Ahmad Hardy. Now, he was at ULM last year. Dude absolutely tore it up. I mean, over 1,300 yards on the ground, top 10 nationally when it came to his production. He has since hit the transfer portal and found his way to Missouri. So Ahmad Hardy put up numbers like Goodwill Hunting. I expect him to have success when he gets to Missouri. Big portal get from Missouri, and Ahmad Hardy, when you look at that production, I don't care who it's against. I don't care if you're playing Sun Belt, SEC, Pop Warner. It doesn't matter to me. 1,300 yards is 1,300 yards. Ahmad Hardy, a dude, and to me, the number 10, true sophomore from last season in college football. Obviously, a true freshman a year ago. At number 9, this portal, I got portal in the brain from our first segment on this long-form show. This past receiver class that was a freshman in college football this past year is absolutely loaded, dude. We got 4 of these dudes in our top 10. At number 9, I got TJ Moore. You could honestly push me on TJ Moore being higher on this list, the Clemson wide receiver. He actually had some better production than one of the individuals ahead of him. I cannot get out of my mind watching the playoff game where Clemson goes to Austin, Texas, and Clemson's fighting for their playoff life in the second half, and who do they go to? TJ Moore, time and time again. Bryant Wesco probably also deserves some love, but TJ Moore, where it was the biggest spot for Clemson of their season at that point, and to force feed him the football, to like their matchup one-on-one with him, tells me a lot about this dude, tells me a lot about his future. He's part of the reason why I'm so high on Clemson going forward. We always used to knock Clemson, I say always, in the recent history when they weren't reaching their expectations of competing for national championships recently, it was because they didn't have skill players on the perimeter to change games. They do now in TJ Moore. He's my number 9 rising sophomore for 2025 in the world of college football. Staying in the receiver position, got number 8 on our list, number 8 on the field, wide receiver from Auburn, Cam Coleman. Dude's just super freaky. Now, did he have the same production as a TJ Moore? No. My pushback there would be he also didn't have, I don't think, the same level of quarterback play from some other guys on the list. I love Peyton Thorne, but just had an up and down, tough year. You see the physical giftings from him. You see how good he can be in his limited opportunities at times this year. Finished strong to finish the season. The Texas A&M game sticks out where he went over 100 yards in that spot. I am really excited to see what he can be next season with, you would hope, a more capable quarterback, whether it's Jackson Arnold or Deuce Knight or Ashton Daniels. More on that a little bit later in the show. This is not a projection, but based on what he has shown in flashes, forget the numbers for a second. Based on what he is as a football player, what he puts on tape, dude's a dog. Going to be very good. Was very good this past year. He's at number 8 on this list. At number 7, showing the linemen some love. Some trenches on this show, baby. Offensive lineman for Colorado, Jordan Seaton, was the best offensive lineman as a freshman last year in college football. Played over 800 snaps. All right, sit with that for a second. Of those 800 snaps, you would assume pretty high degree of pass plays being called in Colorado's offense, right? They were 60% of the time throw the football operation. Jordan Seaton, as a true freshman, allowed 3 sacks. 3 in the Big 12, which had some good defensive lines in that conference. So Jordan Seaton, his body of work, the numbers speak for itself, number 7 on this list. At number 6, I'm doing my very best now to not make a joke about him having been 17, so I won't do it. But Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams, I think he's just scratching the surface. Same thing was said about Cam Coleman. Jalen Milroe, for all of his successes he had at different points this year, like when you got good Jalen Milroe, you got good Alabama, you got good downfield passing game because he's probably running the football at a high level. But Jalen Milroe didn't throw for more than 300 yards after the Vanderbilt game, which was played October 5th. And Ryan Williams still had over 800 yards receiving and had a tremendous freshman campaign. To put a further point on this, there was no real relief for Ryan Williams, which makes what he did that much more impressive this season as a true freshman. You had him and Jeremy Bernard both in the neighborhood of right around 50 receptions. After that, you had C.J. Dupree, a tight end, be third on the team in receptions with 21. So it was going to Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard if it was going anywhere downfield. Ryan Williams had 8 touchdowns this year. Jalen Moore threw 16. To put up the numbers he did in that conference, the image of him doing like the hezzy spin move as Bryant-Denny Stadium absolutely explodes as he goes into the end zone against Georgia, sticks in your mind pretty vividly. Dude's a ball player, proved it this past year, top 10 guy for us this year, and excited to see what he does for the encore. At number 5, I got Florida quarterback DJ Lagway as my number 5 true sophomore ahead of 2025. Now, if you remember, he's one of our top returning quarterbacks in college football, period. Junior, senior, freshman, whatever. So you saw how good he can be with what he did last year. 6-1 as a starter. Totally changed the trajectory of what Florida football is. He's a reason why I got him as a way too early top 10 team in the country. He's just got some different to him. I should say this too. The way he finished the year, he wasn't even full strength. Wasn't even all the way healthy. Which leads me to believe and ask the question, could DJ Lagway get even better with another offseason, being at full strength, having the offense tailored even more to him? You would imagine so. Going back to what I said, just the feeling you get when you watch the guy play, not to get too philosophical here, just has a different level when he's out. A different level of calm, different level of being able to be mobile but still keep his eyes downfield. Like, he just made a couple of plays where you're like, freshmen don't make those kind of throws, don't make those kind of poise level plays. And so the way they finished the season with wins over Ole Miss and LSU and obviously Florida State, DJ Lagway is in large part the guy you look at for the reason of why they won those games. He was the catalyst, and he's going to be a dude next year. There's no way around it. Expectations are sky high, but I think so is his potential. And number 4, cornerback on the list here, Notre Dame's Leonard Moore. Now, Leonard Moore is wired exactly how I want my cornerbacks to be wired. Before the national title game, they're playing arguably the best wide receiving core in college football in Ohio State. Leonard Moore says, we're going to play man. We play man. That's what we are. It's who we are. It's what we do. We're playing man. As a true freshman, to talk his cash before the national title game with the opposition, I love the confidence. I love the swagger. I love what he does on the field. He got some more burn this year after some injuries to the secondary. Never looked back. All the accolades are nice, but the accolades, I think, don't tell the full story of what Leonard Moore did this year. A top 10 grade overall for corners in college football is impressive in itself. But to do what he did and to get his accolades with what they ask in that defense in Notre Dame, to play as much man coverage as they do, that's impressive. So Leonard Moore, I believe On 3 in general had him as a top 10 returning player in college football, period. He's top 5 when it comes to true sophomores on our list. Dude's a baller. They got a good one in South Bend. At number 3, linebacker, edge, whatever you want to call him, Colin Simmons from Texas. Had 9 sacks last year as a true freshman. Like, to be the best pass rusher on a Texas defense that you could throw into the debate as one of the best defenses in college football this past season, that says something. Like, it was very obvious to me seeing him play the way he did this year. There's not going to be this big learning curve for him. Like, physically, he's there. Mentally, he seems to be there. Competitively, he seems to be there. All those things are adding up. And to tell you all the truth, that checks out exactly with what we believe to be true about him as a prospect. He rolls into Nashville for the Elite Series that we do here at On 3 every summer. Josh Newberg and I get a chance to sit down and chop it up with him, and you could just tell this dude's got like that almost face the franchise vibe to him. Like, not an arrogance, not a cockiness, but a very real confidence of he knows how good he is, he knows what he's capable of, and to play to that level as a true freshman on one of the biggest stages in college football in the playoff, and to do what he did, can't say enough about Colin Simmons and his future. He's number 3 for us on this list. And number 2, I got Dylan Stewart, the edge defender for South Carolina. Y'all, he is a case to be the best edge defender in college football next year, period, as does Colin Simmons. 6.5 sacks last year, 3 forced fumbles, 48 pressures. 48 pressures. An absolute problem. He's a top 10 player in my mind just in college football, period, regardless of class next year. I am really interested to see what he does next year with no Kennard next to him on the defensive line, or to be the bookend rather, as he probably sees more double teams, probably sees a little bit extra attention. I think he's going to flourish. His explosiveness, his speed, his power, all those things, I would not want to line up across from Dylan Stewart. His resume speaks for itself. Number 2 player for us in true sophomores heading into 2025. Now, at number 1, this is the best player in college football. I don't think there needed to be any breath holding on this list for who was number 1. Jeremiah Smith, the receiver for Ohio State, is the best true sophomore in college football. He's the best player in college football going into next year. And I just absolutely roasted someone who did a mock draft the other day that was using the criteria of, if it's all players in college football, underclassmen included, eligible for the draft, here's how I see it shaking out. I roasted someone for saying Arch Manning would be a number 1 pick or top 5 pick, whatever it was, and I stand by that. I'll hear the conversation around Jeremiah Smith being a top 3 pick right now. And I'm not a scout guy. I'm not like this NFL, draft guru, but people that are those things co-sign that. And if they're saying that, it's not for clicks. It's the real deal. And we got a chance to chop it up with him at media days, got a chance to watch him at the national title game up close on the sideline warming up. Dude is every bit of 225. Every bit of 6'3", and every bit of explosiveness that you would want from a number 1 big time. Forget just college wide receiver, NFL wide receiver. So that sounds hyperbolic. I don't think we're overestimating how good this dude is and how good he's going to be. So, honorable mentions before we recap this list. Caden Durham was the guy who just missed the cut for me, running back for LSU. Had over 700 yards in the SEC as a true freshman. Got the nod for LSU, not from the jump, but towards that South Carolina game, I think is when he kind of broke out. Impressed by him, 5.5 yards a carry on the season in the SEC. Even he was dinged up. I love his future. Bryant Wesco, I mentioned, receiver for Clemson. Sammy Brown was a force for them in that defense at Clemson, so a couple of guys that got left off there. Anthony Knapp, guy who won the left tackle job after an injury in the preseason to Jag you saw. That should tell you something about the way that he's cut as a true freshman at Notre Dame. So a lot of guys that we could have talked about, but that's the honorable mentions for us. So to recap it, our top 10 true sophomores ahead of 2025 in the spirit of National Signing Day, to recap the guys who put pen to paper last cycle. At number 10, Ahmad Hardy, previously of ULM, has since hit the portal, will play for Missouri next year. At number 9, TJ Moore, Clemson wide receiver. At number 8, Cam Coleman. At number 7, Jordan Seaton. At number 6, Ryan Williams. Number 5, the quarterback for the Gators, DJ Lagway. At number 4, Leonard Moore, the DB for Notre Dame. At number 3, Colin Simmons, Texas Edge. Number 2, Dylan Stewart. Number 1, Jeremiah Smith. So go ahead and file your grievances below in the comments section. We welcome all smoke. We encourage all smoke, and we are looking forward to getting all the smoke from y'all after the fact here under this video.